The FBI agents all came calling in for backup, and as the agent in charge of the cameraman cut off the tape, then the video skipped ahead to about an hour. This time there was no visual. Instead, there was only audio recording, and it was a long but unsettling one. It apparently was the agent in charge of this investigation who was speaking. He sounded both upset and terrified. "This is absolutely insane. I never thought something like this could go behind everyone's back in this town. It's like a frickin' Holocaust all over again. What me and my team just uncovered could only be considered as the cruelest abuse of power for the history of this town and since founding it to the end of the Second World War. Many of you may know about the odd disappearances and the murders that occurred while Mayor Farkas was in power. You may have heard the town's media telling you about it, but I could tell you right now that whatever media has been telling you is complete bullshit. I know the truth, and it's far worse than anyone could have imagined. It turns out that these disappearances and murders were caused by whatever drug dealers or criminal gangs, at least not in the ways media would describe it. Me and my team found the evidence in Mayor Farkas' mansion, and have been confirmed our suspicions that our undercover agent revealed to us and this evidence. God, how could this happen? Our undercover agent told us that he discovered that what could only be described as the worst case of police corruption in the history of his career. This turns out the police chief of Darkwood and brother of Mayor Farkas had been secretly organized a crime long before Gerald was even elected mayor of Darkwood. As many of you may know, crime and gang activity was out of control back in the 1970s and late 1960s, and here in this town of Darkwood, and the police had a lot of trouble handling it. Random citizens being attacked in the night, mugged, violated at gunpoint, and even just so much so as horrible shit I don't want to get into. However, when Gerald Farkas was elected into power as the new mayor of Darkwood in 1970, things got much worse. He used his power as mayor to give the current police chief and officers all fired from Darkwood police station under new pretense of not doing their duty to crack down on crime. When Mayor Farkas and his brother were put into power as a new police chief, along with a group of police officers that secretly worked for the underground criminal under Gerald Farkas' command. They'd play their roles as cops to the public, but in secret they've been engaged into criminal acts. These acts include human trafficking, drug trafficking, porn film production, and so many other horrible things that are in the public, but it's just so messed up for me to describe. One of Mayor Farkas was in power. He once cracked down on a crime to investigate the town of Darkwood, but couldn't have been more further from the real truth. In reality, the criminal gangs that our cops arrested were secretly released from the Darkwood jail and recruited into the Mayor Farkas criminal empire. Some of the stubborn ones who refused were treated all like the others Mayor Farkas deemed unworthy, and some with their loyalty bought coherent. Others had no issue joining them, and soon this became a dark common tactic that Mayor Farkas would not only stay in power, but also ensured that he had a complete control over the town. Crime seemed to seize him within Darkwood a bit once Mayor Farkas was in power, but that was because his criminal empire operated in the shadows through manipulation, extortion, money laundering, drug trafficking, and so much more. Anything that went on to the public simply passed off as a petty crime in the police and media. No one knew the truth, and anyone who did know about the whole truth would disappear, and once the police caught onto it, as if it wasn't bad enough, Mayor Farkas had a really disgusting thing for young teen girls. I recently found out after stumbling into a small safe containing really power-lord pictures inside Gerald's old room. That's where he actually found dead. A few minutes ago, my team and I, my God, most brutal details on the mayor was murdered, and it was too graphic and disturbing to say in one piece, so I'll just simply simplify. He was dismembered like the other goons we saw back there. But from what the coroner said, Gerald was clearly tortured slowly and painfully, and then hacked into pieces. I don't even know what to tell you. What we found in his mouth, though. It's best to leave it unheard. We still haven't found out who murdered Gerald and his bodyguards, and no one knows where his son Ridley Farkas is. My boss thinks that he might have been kidnapped, whoever did this, but we still aren't sure. The Darkwood police is now currently under lockdown and being investigated by other FBI agents. State police and even the feds are now involved now. The office is now being investigated, and you better believe me when I say this, there was a ton of evidence in here in his home, and that confirms he was operating under Mayor Farkas's peace and crimes against humanity. Todd Farkas will be probably facing death penalty due to the severity of some evidence that were found regarding how he treated the illegal immigrants of this town. In these years of me being an FBI agent, I never thought I'd be dealing with something like this. How could such cruelty and abuse go on like this and not be unnoticed until it's too late? Well, we'll soon find out once Todd Farkas is brought into trial for his crimes. The tape officially ended there, and Kim and Ron were left speechless. They just stared at the blank screen in for silence over 2 minutes, and not even Rufus made a sound. What they just heard confirmed all of their suspicions. He lied, Ron said softly in a cold, hard voice. Ridley lied in his admission. He murdered his father, but he never destroyed the whole mansion. That means it must still be there, Kim realized. That's where we need to go, Ron said. I already know the address since I saw it on one of the papers back in the courthouse. Ron entered the address to find Farkas Manor in the GPS. Then they were off. Ron, that agent that Ridley was missing, what do you suppose happened to him? I mean, if he lied about the part about where he bombed the mansion, is it possible that he may have lied about the other things he said in that medical report? Kim wondered. I'm not even going to doubt at this point, Ron replied. Everything we have seen is so far in this town proves that Farkas' family was evil to the core. Gerald and his brother were both crime lords who abused their power and took advantage of so many weak and defensive people in his town. And even if they feel insinuous lies about the public to cover up all the crimes they committed, and what the police officers, all having been members of Gerald's criminal empire, they'd all be enforcing of Gerald's lies and deceased. This is even crazier than I could have imagined. You think this town was all abandoned, all because of what Gerald did to his brother? Kim asked. That might have been it, but we'll need to listen to the other tapes and read the rest of the evidence to find out, Ron replied. Hopefully we find something in Gerald's old mansion. Just reveal what just happened to make everybody in this town leave and abandon it. You think there might be more ghosts in this mansion, like in the courthouse? Kim wondered with a hint of fear in her voice. Ron shuddered upon remembering that ghost figure and all the horrible ghostly screams, angry ranting he had heard back in the courthouse. He hoped that there wasn't anything else like the ones that were waiting for in the Farkas mansion. No idea. I'm hoping there isn't, Ron said. I, for one, am not willing to have any more ghosts past the assaulting my head. Neither am I, Kim agreed. As they headed for Gerald's old mansion, they both wondered what horrors they would both find in there. Kim and Ron had already learned most of the truth so far about the town's dark past, and they already knew that Ridley had been lying since he had said he destroyed the mansion. Had Ridley gone into hiding after murdering his father? Kim and Ron still had no answer to that, and even the FBI didn't know about it either. However, they had a gut feeling saying they would find an answer at Gerald's mansion. Assuming that it hadn't been gutted or stripped out all of evidence, while everything Kim and Ron had been found filled with them with no more knowledge on Ridley's father, Gerald, they still haven't found out about Ridley's past, other than he had been constantly abused by Gerald. Todd Farkas had confessed this to the FBI. When caught, he yet didn't provide any further details about it. The biggest question still lingered in Kim and Ron's minds, however. What happened to everyone in Darkwood? Why did the town have been straight up abandoned? Ron had figured it might have had to do with Todd and Gerald's evil criminal empire being exposed, but they were pretty sure that there was more to it. After all, this town's existence had been erased from the public, and only a slight amount of info on it was visible on the dark web. Was it possible Black Shadow erased all records of this town existence, like with Ridley's identity? After all, how could such one dark piece history like Gerald and Todd's abuse of power in Darkwood just vanished? Surely someone had to know about it. Kim and Ron simply rode in all silence on the way to Gerald's mansion, wondering if they finally get the answers they wanted and needed there. This was pretty much their last shot at finding out anything about Ridley's past. And this was all worried them both. If Kim and Ron couldn't find anything about Ridley's past, how would they figure out how to find him? There has to be something here that may lead us to Ridley. If there isn't, finding him may be impossible, Ron thought as he and Kim headed towards the mansion, praying that they would find what they needed in there.